This tutorial is going to be on how to create a corridor. It's going to be a relatively simple corridor. We're going to go through the steps of creating the assemblies, the design profiles, and showing how some of the targeting and things works. But for the most part, it's just going to be a real simple one, showing you the ins and outs of how the different regions and all of the functions of the corridor work. There will be another one after this that is a much more detailed and going through many different scenarios that have kind of came up as I've been working with corridors. But for this one, I'm just going to show you the simple steps of how to create a corridor. So the first thing you need is a alignment, which I just put down the center of the road here. We're going to do like we're doing a slight road reconstruction, maybe adding a sidewalk to the south side of the road here. I did a profile of that line. It's line R for road. To create a corridor, you need to have an assembly. So we're going to create assembly, give it a name. We'll call it line R typical 1, and it can be anything. It is nice to name things very specific so that way you can find them and keep them organized and things, but for this one it's going to be a pretty simple maybe a couple assemblies, and then that'll be it. So you hit OK. I'm just going to click here, and this is your assembly, and then you build your pieces and parts around that. There is a tool palette that you pull up. Click in your ribbon, it pulls up a tool palette that has all the pieces and parts you need. Lanes is a tab here. I like to use the inside super multi-layer for most of my standard easy stuff. It has lots of layers, but it also gives you all the options and everything that you need to hit targets and things. If it's in a super, if you're needing to hit an elevation, a feature line, something to that effect, this gives you all the options you need. So if you click on that, it pulls up in the tool palette the information that you can set before you place it. So it's showing that it's on the left side. I'll go right first. It's -2%. The lane width is 12. I'm going to make that 11. And then here are all the different depths. And you can do this after or before. I'll go ahead and do this before. A lot of these aren't needed, so I'll get rid of most all of these. If you do have a pavement section that is very complex, then you would have different depths of these. We'll make this one 0.35 and this one 0.5. So after you set those things, you zoom into your assembly, click on this, and it's going to draw a piece to the right. I like to name these as well. So if you click on the subassembly, go to Subassembly Properties. If you name it right lane, when you're looking at it in your corridor properties box, it's much easier to identify what you're looking at. You can mirror this. If you click on it and then right click, there's a mirror option, and you just click on the center line and it mirrors it across there. Now you will have to rename it to left lane so that you don't get confused when you're looking at things. But if you look at these parameters, it's what I set, from that initial properties box. So I'm going to do that as typical assembly 1. I'll go ahead and add sidewalk to it as well. There's a generic tab, and that has offsets like length, width, slope, link, offset, slope, etc. I use length, width, and slope the most. It seems to be the easiest to use. They're all relatively easy, but it serves the purpose that I need the most. So I'm going to go to the right. I'm going to make it a 2.5 foot width. We're going to go -2%. That's all you need. So after you've set that information in, click on this connecting circle here. That gives me the offset. That's going to be the difference, like the grass strip or a median, utility median in between my sidewalk. You can also mirror that one as well. So if you right click, hit mirror, just put it on the other side, and we'll call this grass strip. Right. I'm actually going to take that off of the left side. I don't need a sidewalk on the left side. If you need to get rid of a subassembly, it's just a matter of erase. Click and erase and it goes away. I am going to use this lane inside super again for my sidewalk. You can use, there is a curb and a sidewalk, urban sidewalk, and it has, I'll show you over here, it has several different target possibilities. You got inside boulevard, which is essentially what I put there, the sidewalk width, and then there's also an outside boulevard that puts another strip on the outside. I have used that before. I do like, for simplicity's sake, I like using this lane again, because you can set the size. So I go back through here and make these 0 again, and there's nothing that's going to be confusing about that inside boulevard or the outside. It's just going to be the width of my sidewalk. And I'll make that 0.5. We'll go with a 6-inch sidewalk. And then the width I'm going to make 5. It's going away at 2%, so it drains into that ditch. And click, and then click again. So there you have just a single layer, and you can call that sidewalk. That is your assembly. There's nothing much more to it. You do have to do daylights on either side. I like to use daylight multi-intercept. It has worked the best for me. I'll do a 3:1 cut and fill, and then make it with one intercept, and then when you place that, it just pops it on there, and it knows which side you need to go to. When you place to the other side, it automatically switches to the left side. You can rename those if you'd like: daylight right, daylight left. The more naming that you do, the happier you'll be whenever you have 50 assemblies and you're trying to figure out which one's which. It just makes things easier when you're searching for them. Alright, so there I have an assembly. The next thing I need to do is create a design profile for the corridor. The corridor is based off of what you tell it. So click on this, and get rid of this too. Click on this profile grid here, up in your ribbon. It gives you a box for profile creation tools. You click on that. Let's ask you all, what do you want to name it? I like to go line RPG. You can do complete label set. Let's see what's there. Those are correct. This will have grade breaks, your lines, sag, and crest curves. You can hit OK. It pulls up the standard editing box that almost all Civil 3D things have. You can start here at 0 and just kind of start placing PBIs. There's a bridge there that we're crossing. Alright, so that gives you the, what station it is, what elevation it is. This is your grade percentage. Each of these pop in there real nice. Now, interestingly enough, it did not put one at that PVI. Now, if you click on your profile, go to Profile View Properties. I'm sorry, that is not correct. You have to edit the labels. So if you click on a label, Edit Labels, pulls up the box, and there's a weeding factor that has been applied to the grade bricks. If you make that 0, it's going to put all of them in. That one went haywire, and you can reset them all. If you right click, you can reset all the labels and they'll go back to their standard position. Just kind of pulling these away so we can see everything nicely. I'm going to show you how to add a curve in here. I don't have too many need. It's so flat, I don't really need a curve. But over here where we're tying back into the intersection, this is a kind of a chunk here. So I'm going to show you the command that I use to put in a curve. So if you pull this down, there is a free vertical curve parabola. Click on that. Click on the first and then the second. I missed it. Click on the first entity and then the next, and ask is what's the radius. I'm going to make it 150. Sounds good. Kind of just make it whatever. That's too small for 150, so let's go to 75. So you can see now that it's put that in there, and you can adjust the vertical, and you can adjust the position of that curve with these different triangles. All have a different function. So this goes up and down, this goes at that bearing, and this one goes at the other bearing, so it keeps it in line with the bearing that it's set at. It's best to keep your PVIs at a even station and as close as you can to an even elevation. You can also set your PVI information with this box here. It's called your panorama box. Pulls up and it gives you a chart of all of your entities. So if you want to move that one to 6 plus 50, you know, it's real easy just to put it in there and set them something even. It's not a requirement, obviously, but just showing you how you can move these in and out. Our curve, we have a sag curve. There's our radius and different curve length information. If you want to make that bigger or smaller, you can do it here. We can make it down to 50, and then it automatically updates. I'm going to put it back to 75 just because that's what we started with. And that's that. I like to keep this small because it always pops up when Civil 3D goes through and does anything, so I'll just put that back over my other screen. So there we have a design profile, which is a requirement for a corridor. Not a requirement, you just have to have a profile. You can run one off the existing profile, but I wanted to show you how to do the editing. So I'm done with this box. I'm going to close it out. So the next thing you're going to do is in your ribbon, hit the corridor button, give it a name. We'll call it Thorpe. Actually, it's 136th Street, and that's the name of the corridor. We'll go with basic on the style. I'll leave that out of the box stuff. This is the layer that it's going to be on. It's got a modifier, so it should say P Road Corridor and then do the 136th Street. I'm going to create this baseline from an alignment and profile. So I've got line A, and then you have to choose the PG, and then you have to choose your assembly. I've got another corridor in this drawing, so there's a lot of extra assemblies. This is my reasoning for naming them very specifically, because you know what you're picking. We're going to target the proposed grade, because I've got a proposed grade surface on the right side. That's what this corridor is. And then I'm going to hit OK. So this is the baseline and region parameters box, your corridor properties box. Everything can be done to your corridor inside of this box. I like to set the frequency to something less than 5 or 25, so I'll go to 5, curve 5. I don't have any curves, but I set everything to 5 just for looking at it. So you can hit OK there. Your targets. We're targeting the proposed grade, and as of right now, that's it. But these are the sub-assemblies that you built. So if you were needing to target to proposed line work, that would be where you would do that. The assembly that I built was bigger than the existing road, so I'm going to hit OK just so that it creates the corridor. Kind of caught it right in the middle of an autosave, so that's why it was taking a little while. I think I flubbed. I think I built my corridor off of line A instead of line R. It's a big mess up, but it can be fixed. So if you go to the properties of that 136th Street, and we'll see if I'm right. This is what I messed up. Yep. So I picked the wrong baseline. So if you go to line A, change that to line R, and then pick your vertical being line RPG, hit OK. Because as you can see right now, there's no corridor built. It actually built it back on top of my other one. So I'm going to hit OK. It's going to regen. Now I have a corridor on top of my road and a sidewalk over here like I should. That's not looking like I normally like to see it look, so I'm going to come in here, go to my corridor properties. I'm going to look at the codes. I want that to be all codes, so everything shows up correctly. There. That's what I'm used to seeing. So when you build your corridor, initially it's going to be just one region, the whole thing. Now obviously there's places that we're going to stop this corridor because we're not going to build it back over this bridge and things like that. So the way this works is at the end of each, basically this is the end of my lane. This is the end of that 2.5 foot offset. This is the sidewalk, and over here, it's not doing any targeting over here because I said target the proposed grade, which is down here. So I've got to break this region and edit the targets. It's one of the things you'll do over and over and over inside of a corridor is the targeting. So if you click on your region, you can do it in your ribbon. You can right click. There's two or three different ways to do it. You can also go to your corridor properties and do it inside of your parameters box. I used to do it here. It got really confusing, so I started doing it here, where I would split the region. So it's asking you which region do you want to split. So I picked this one, and I'm gonna just kind of put it there. So now you have two regions. So I'm gonna split this region again and stop it before this bridge starts, somewhere around like that. And so now I have three regions. 1, 2, 3. We'll do it again and split it before this bridge starts here. It's really easy. It does it quite, fluidly, as long as you're clicking the right stuff, paying attention to what you're doing. So after that, I'm going to hit enter to kind of get all that cleared out. I'm going to delete this region that is in this area where I'm not building it for the bridge. I have to pull down here. So that's why I like right clicking. So I'll show you through the right click method. So if you right click, you go to modify region, and then all of your modification options are here. Delete region, pick the region you're deleting, enter, and it goes bye-bye. So I'm going to hit enter one more time. I'm going to select my modify region again. You can edit your targets. Click there. So these are both set to proposed grade. I'm going to set them for this region to the existing grade. And now you can see it's building out my daylighting. Got a little bit of an area here where there's an overlap between proposed and existing. So let's edit these targets. That's the daylight left, and then the daylight right. So now you can see it's targeting the daylight left, and then it picks up the targeting where the proposed grade starts. I find that a little odd. I guess I was thinking we could target two places, but what we would have to do is bring this diamond up to this spot right here. So where you have two regions together, you can just, oh, I still had a command active. Hit escape. Alright, so if I need to move the stations of this, you can just click on the center diamond. I've still got it active. Click on the center diamond and go to that station there, and it's going to start targeting to the EG. Now that's a little bit odd, but is what it is. Through here it looks like the targeting is doing fine, and escape, edit targets. EG is going to daylight left, that's correct. It looks like the 3-to-1 doesn't hit inside of my existing survey there, that's why it's not drawing anything. My existing survey is pretty tight on this side because our main focus was down here. Now over here, we're going to have to do the swap. We're going to modify region, edit targets, click on this. Now it's going to be the daylight right that we switch to EG, and the daylight left is to the proposed grade. So now it's drawing out. Again, we're tight on the survey over here, so it's not drawing daylighting in this area right here due to the trees, I believe. So that is that. If you wanted to check the corridor, you can do a sample line down the alignment, select your line R, and it's going to ask you what do you want to sample. I do not want to sample the Thorpe Creek Thorpe Creek corridor. I'm just going to do the 136th Street corridor. I'll say OK, and just pick a spot here. And we'll do 50 and 50 for left and right, and then hit enter again. So now you have a sample line you can drag up and down the road to kind of see what you got. So we're going to do a section view. We're going to just do a simple create section view. Pick line R. Offset's the same. Elevation, we'll make it 835 to 855. Section display. Set everything to no labels just for looking at it. We're just going to do a quick look at it. I'm going to place it here, and I need to set my view to 1 inch equals 5 for this to look correctly in this cross-section view. So there's the corridor that we built. There's the sidewalk, there's the daylighting. And you can see it meets in just right with the existing over on either side. And if you want to drag that to down station to see more of the proposed stuff, you can. So that, I believe this is our proposed grade. Yes, it is. I did not set it correctly. So I'm going to change that. Section view properties. I'm going to make that proposed finished ground. Hit OK. And so you can see we're tying into the finished ground, and over here we're tying into the existing ground. And we have our 2% lanes with lane thickness and the second thickness, and then our 6-inch sidewalk. As far as a simple corridor goes, that is, that is basically what's to it. If you wanted to see a drastic kind of how it would do if you made a drastic change to the elevation, we could do that real quick. Looks like it threw a curve in here without me knowing it. Maybe not. So if we took that way down at station 3 plus 50 and then moved our sample line to 3 plus 50, if you click on the sample line and move it exactly where you want to with this station 3 plus 50, pops it in there, make that go away, and then look at your section, and now we're way below, and the targeting is not working because it would not reach at that. Caused some issues putting it way low that you wouldn't really do that because we have so much over here that we'd have to tie into. So I'm going to bring that back up where it was. But I'm kind of just doing that to show you that the corridor is all smart data. Everything you move affects the corridor over here. If you have a point that's going to 0 on your profile or something, it's going to make this look terrible. Real quick, the last thing you would do if you're creating a corridor is you're going to go to your corridor surface, and you want to hit top, specify. Actually, before you do that, you click here. This button here creates the corridor. I like to call it PG, 136th Street PG, and you want it to be the design style. And after you have that created, you hit the plus sign for top, and I'll add it as a break line, and I will also add a boundary around it, corridor shrink wrap, and we'll pop in there, and it's going to create a surface. So now we have created a surface that can be seen in our cross sections along with the corridor. Kind of froze up on me, but so you can see we have our proposed contours tying into existing with our daylighting. So you've created, in a short amount of steps, you've created an assembly, a design profile, a corridor, split the regions as needed, done the targets as needed, and then created surface contours from that. So I'll be back with a more complicated corridor, but for now, this is how to create a simple corridor.